Warning: Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander viewers are warned that the following program may contain images and voices of deceased or missing persons.
Good morning, family and friends. Just had a woody mine here, Yamal country. Doing a bit of heritage work. And yeah, as you can see, beautiful weather.
Welcome back to Vanishing Voices, where the silent stories of the missing resurface. This is episode 2, Yarns, Rumours and Theories. This is Wesley. This is his Yalba brother Ray. And this is the land that Wesley loves. Wesley's disappearance has rattled Port Hedland, but the fear stretches beyond the Lockyer family. It's touched the local Indigenous people, spreading a cloud of dread across the community. What's more, this was the first case, but it wasn't the last. Other males have gone missing under suspiciously similar circumstances. Yet, with every new lead, there's the same cold silence. Too many frightened voices and too many unanswered questions. Why? Because something or someone is making sure these voices stay quiet. This week, we've received new information that might finally begin to connect the dots. But before we dive into the theories, let's revisit the facts. Wesley was last seen on the morning of October 24th, 2022. He had just returned from a Nimal Rangers camp, where he'd been working on his ancestral lands. He was happy, settled, and looking forward to the week ahead. But Sunday night, something changed. By early Monday morning, Wesley was gone. It's what happened in those final hours that has left so many questions. What we do know is that Wesley became frantic, worried. His behavior early that morning was out of character. He was pacing, talking to himself, asking where was his Yalbo brother, and saying he was getting blamed for something he didn't do. He didn't leave with his wallet, his phone, or any belongings. He just vanished. But what triggered this fear, and who exactly was Wesley so afraid of? Stay with us as we unravel these threads, explore the connections, and continue the search for answers. Could the truth be hidden in the rumours, or are they simply a smokescreen for something even darker? This is Vanishing Voices, where we leave no stone unturned in the search for Wesley and others like him. The truth might be buried deep, but we're here to find it. Wesley Lockyer went missing in the early hours of Monday morning, October 24th, 2022. The week leading up to his disappearance, he had been away on a Nimal Rangers camp, working on the land he cared so much about. When he returned home, everything seemed normal. He had gone out with friends on Friday night and spent the next day relaxing. Wesley was his usual self, maybe a little hungover, but otherwise in good spirits. He was even looking forward to getting back to work on Monday, doing the job he loved, protecting the land. But something changed in the late hours of Sunday night or early Monday morning. Wesley received some news. Something had gone wrong. It wasn't his fault, but he was being blamed, and now they were coming for him. That's when the rumours started to swirl. Whispers about cultural dealings and spiritual interventions began to spread through the community. For those who understand the deep roots of these cultural beliefs, the fear was real. The cultural ways of the people are sacred, yarns passed down through generations, dreamtime stories, and ancient rituals. But with these whispers came fear. Fear that if anyone spoke up, they might be next. After a careful and thorough investigation, we've come to a sobering realization. These stories, as powerful as they are just that. Stories. They've been used as a smokescreen, designed to throw us off the trail and distract us from the truth. While the fear is real for many, these rumours have been carefully crafted by those who want to keep us from discovering what really happened to Wesley. There are countless other theories swirling around Wesley and the other missing men, one of the most disturbing being that they're being held captive in a sea container at some remote location. as investigators, it's our job to assess every theory with a critical eye, asking ourselves, is it possible, plausible, likely? When we examine this particular theory, we have to ask, why? What would be the motive for holding 5 men captive for such an extended period? There's been no ransom demand, no blackmail, no communication at all from supposed captors. Without any clear benefit or objective, this theory quickly starts to unravel. It's unsettling, yes, but when you dig deeper, it simply doesn't hold up. There's no reason, no gain, nothing that makes this scenario plausible. In this episode, we're exploring another theory, one that's built on a combination of credible information, known facts, and connecting the dots in a way that aligns with the evidence. It's not just speculation. It's a scenario that makes sense, is possible, and, most importantly, is both likely and plausible. However, as new information emerges, whether from those who choose to speak up or when law enforcement decides to take action, this theory will either evolve or be ruled out. Since the last episode, Wiley has contacted investigators to tell us about the time he and his cousin Vince Dershow, also Maitland Narrier, spent with Wesley on the Sunday morning before he disappeared. Some of the information he shared was interesting, but what was even more interesting was, at the time Wiley had arranged for the telephone call to investigator Robin, there was a very large gathering at his house. Could the conversation have been on speaker, or is this just a coincidence? We spoke to Wiley about his association with people of interest, or POIs, in many of the missing persons cases, and if these particular individuals were in town at the time of Wesley's disappearance. He couldn't really confirm, and we understand people's memories fade over time, but we have since realized Vince is a Yalbo brother to one of the main POIs. This we will be following up further. Let's take a step back to that Wednesday night in Broome. Wesley, Ray, and a few of the other rangers made their way to the Rowie Hotel. Wesley appeared familiar with many of the Kimberley locals there, and we're trying to confirm if some other POIs, like Samsudin bin Rashid and Travis Marnie, were also around. These names have been associated to the disappearance of Zane Stevens earlier this year, and some of the other missing males. Samsudin is well known to police, and he, along with Marnie, frequently travel across the entire Northwest region. They also have very close connections to Wiley and Vince Dershow, who were some of the last people to see Wesley the day before he vanished. By all accounts, the night started off like any other. But something shifted. From the information that has surfaced since, investigators now believe that someone close to Wesley was asked to transport something back to Headland. What exactly that was, we can only speculate. Wesley, it seems, knew about this arrangement but wasn't directly involved. That's when things took a dark turn. Whatever this person was possibly carrying had significant value, something that coincidentally lined up with a Goomala meeting in South Headland on the Friday night, where large sums of money were being distributed. Wesley continued with his life as usual, attending the meeting, catching up with friends, and overindulging in alcohol, leaving him hungover the next day. The rest of the weekend was spent resting, completely unaware of the storm brewing around him. Something had gone wrong with this arrangement, and now someone wanted answers. But the person responsible for the mess had disappeared into the bush, leaving Wesley in the crosshairs. Investigators believe the pressure started to build on Sunday. Wesley had no idea what was coming. The links between Wesley, the other missing men, and the people rumored to be responsible for these disappearances are too striking to be just coincidence. The pieces are finally starting to fall into place, but just as quickly, new shadows emerge. Some theories can be dismissed, like the whispers of cultural involvement, but others are starting to form a chilling picture. The deeper we dig, the more tangled the story becomes. Each new question unearths even more mysteries. Did the hunting trip actually happen? Or was it a cover for something else, something far more sinister? Who really was in town that weekend, especially on that critical Sunday and Monday? And perhaps the most pressing question of all, who is telling the truth and who's spinning lies? Let's talk about the hunting trip, a tale full of inconsistencies and unanswered questions. We were told the group left Jinpurinya at around 2 p.m. on Sunday, heading 60 kilometers out to Munda Station for a routine kangaroo hunt. But here's where things get murky. Somewhere about 30 kilometers off the Great Northern Highway, Ray claims he was clearing his gun as they were driving along. A careless move, a single shot fired straight through the floor, severing the fuel line and stranding them in the middle of nowhere. What happened next? Ray and Cade supposedly walked 30 kilometers through the dark, all night, back to the highway. Meanwhile, Jackson and his partner stayed with the disabled vehicle. When Ray and Cade finally reached the highway, they hitched a ride to Headland and went straight to Ray's ex, Sylvana, asking for a lift to tow the stranded vehicle back to the highway. But that's not where the questions end, far from it. How could such a small accident trigger such a complex series of events? And why does the story feel incomplete? By around 4 a.m., Ray and Cade had made it back to town with Sylvana, where they supposedly got some sleep. Meanwhile, Jackson and his partner were left behind with the stranded vehicle. But here's where the story starts to blur. One version has Ray and Cade getting a ride with Sylvana back to Jinpurinya around 4 p.m. on Monday, while Jackson somehow managed to source parts and repair the damaged fuel line himself. Another version suggests Jackson drove Ray and Cade back to Jinpurinya once the vehicle was fixed. But here's where things take an even stranger turn. New information suggests Ray may have called for a tow truck to retrieve the vehicle and take it to Indy Station. The problem: the vehicle described as being towed with the shot through the fuel line wasn't the same one we were told by those in the hunting party. It's a detail that raises even more questions, and it's one we're digging into further to either confirm or dismiss this information with swan towing. But something isn't adding up. Wesley spent the weekend like any other, calm, relaxed, and unwinding after a long week away. He rested, preparing for the days ahead, showing no sign of the storm that was about to hit. But early Monday morning, something changed. Did Wesley receive a call or message from those chasing retribution for the arrangement that went bad? Did the quiet whispers of trouble finally reach his ears? At around 6 o'clock, Wesley knocked on Darian's door, asking if Ray was there. When she told him no, he went outside. That's when Darian overheard something strange. From the kitchen, as she made her coffee, she heard Wesley speaking. She assumed he was on the phone. But when she stepped outside to check, she saw Wesley pacing, deeply agitated, seemingly talking to himself. His words were frantic. "Where's Yalbo Ray? I need to see him. He understands what I'm talking about. These mob keep blaming me." Darian asked if he was okay. Wesley reassured her with a simple yes, but his eyes told a different story. Then he muttered, almost to himself, "What the fuck? I didn't do anything." That was the last time anyone saw or heard from Wesley. These questions need to be asked. Why didn't anyone that was staying with Wesley raise the alarm until almost a week after he went missing, including his Yalbo? Why was nobody concerned for his welfare that morning, considering he was in such a distraught and panicked state? The more we dig into this, the more unsettling the details become. Rumors swirl. Did Wesley walk to the highway that morning, where someone picked him up, only to vanish without a trace? Or was his disappearance tied to a drug debt owed by someone else? The truth, it seems, is buried deep beneath layers of lies and deception, and we're only just beginning to uncover it. Wesley vanished that Monday morning, and the police want you to believe it's simple. Just another case of an Indigenous man under the influence, wandering off into the unknown, never to return. But we know better. Wesley didn't just disappear. He left Jinpurinya either with people he knew or was taken by force. And here's the thing. He left behind both his phone and his wallet, something he would never do willingly. Oddly, both items were found in his bedroom, yet Wesley had been sleeping on the couch while his friends were staying in his room. So why was his phone there? It doesn't make sense. The police tell us his phone battery died the day after he vanished. But here's where it gets chilling. 6 days later, when Wesley's mother, Joanne, was searching the property in desperation, she called his number. And to her shock, she heard it ringing inside the house. She rushed to his bedroom, and there it was, his phone, fully charged, flashing her name. Who charged Wesley's phone after he disappeared? And why? The question hangs in the air, heavy and unsettling. Someone knows the truth, and the lies are starting to unravel. And here we are, still facing the unsettling truth that, to this day, the police maintain Wesley's case is nothing more than a routine missing persons investigation. No special attention, no urgency. If it weren't for the relentless pressure from Wesley's family and private investigators, it's frightening to think how little would have been done. But what's even more alarming is the blind spot in this investigation. The police's failure to connect Wesley's disappearance to other missing men in the region, all with the same chilling links and suspicious circumstances. Is it coincidence? Or are we staring down the terrifying possibility of a serial predator, hiding in plain sight, taking lives unnoticed by authorities? The patterns are too strong, the connections too clear to be ignored. Wesley's case isn't just one disappearance. It's part of something far larger and far more sinister. We have shared a few of Wesley's videos to show you he is not just another statistic. He was a happy, healthy, loving person who enjoyed his wonderful life and the country he was so passionate about. We want you, the police, and the government to get to know Wesley. And even more so, we request the police to start treating Wesley's case and those of the other missing people with the respect, attention, and resources they deserve. Why have police let Wesley's file sit dormant for 20 months and not actively investigating it until we have demanded action? Don't let Wesley or the others just become another statistic. In this episode, we've peeled back another layer of the mystery, but so many questions still remain. Who took Wesley and why? What happened that Monday morning? And how many more lives will be taken before the truth is finally revealed? This isn't over. Far from it. We'll keep digging. We'll keep asking the hard questions. And we won't stop until we uncover the truth. Because someone out there knows what happened, and we will keep you with us every step of the way. We know that some of the individuals we've mentioned might not be pleased with what we've discussed in this podcast. And if we have come to the wrong assumption, then we will correct it once we have reliable evidence to support that. But the fact is, it's common knowledge who was around Wesley in his final days. It's also well known in the community the histories of those involved and the kinds of dealings that occur. At the end of the day, we're just piecing together the information we have. If you've been honest and transparent with the details you've provided to CIS investigators or the police, then there's no need for concern. But if we, or the authorities, uncover any inconsistencies in the information provided, we won't hesitate to bring it to light. This is Vanishing Voices, and the answers are coming, whether they want them to or not. Vanishing Voices is brought to you by Cotman Investigations. If you have any information that may assist, please reach out to us at www.cotmaninvestigations.com or our Facebook page. I'm Investigator Jake. Thank you for listening, and we hope you listen in to the next episode. In the next episode, we will explore the possible links to the other missing males: Clinton Lockyer, Wiley Oscar, Zane Stevens, and Brenton Shah. We would like to thank those that have come forward to share information and hope this podcast will encourage more people to speak up.